Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and for this one, gonna be reviewing Season 5 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. And yeah, because Season 5 of Star Wars The Clone Wars, it was a really good season. I remember, because, I remember that, because me and my family, we had gone to, Disney World around the time before Season 5 was starting, and I remember watching the trailers, when we were on our way, we stayed at a hotel, and then we proceeded on the next day to Disney World, and that's where we were, and Season 5 of Clone Wars had aired the day, that we had left, Disney, and we were at a hotel, and I remember watching the first episode that came out, and the first episode that came out, which was the one with Darth Maul and Savage, and they first tried to form up an alliance with members of Hondo's pirates, and a bunch of Hondo's pirates turn against Hondo for now, and they join Maul and Savage's side. And Obi-Wan and Ada Gila, haven't heard time pronouncing her name, that Jedi. They join, they're on the search for Maul and Savage, and they pick up evidence, and also with Hondo, because as Obi-Wan and what's her face, they arrive at the planet where Hondo is, Hondo's they take my men, my own men, or, stuff like that, and, and I just remember, as the battle begins, I remember Hondo's okay, it's official, they are no longer my men, I want their tongues, so, and, big fight between Maul, Savage, and Obi-Wan, and the female Jedi, and Savage pretty much kills the female Jedi, and which is crazy, That's how that Jedi gets killed, because we don't see her in Revenge of the Sith or anything like that. Just like how we see the one-eyed Jedi, what's his face, that we first saw in Phantom Menace, and we saw in Clone Wars, because we didn't see him in Attack of the Clones and in Revenge of the Sith, so, but in the 2003 Clone Wars, mini-series, web series or whatever, that was done by the same guy who does the Hotel Transylvania films, he appeared, the One-Eyed Jedi, he appeared in one episode of the, Clone Wars web series, from 2003, so, yeah. But, anyway, so... And of course, eventually later, most of the pirates who joined Maul's side are redeemed, and they're back on Hondo's side, and then all of them meet up outside and with Maul and Savage, and Hondo's look at them, they are running away from Kenobi, and of course, Maul and Savage escape, and and that's that, so. And of course, at the ending, we have Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin, I think Mace Windu, and Chancellor Palpatine, so... And also, okay, and the next episodes, the episodes with that has Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Rex, and it has Lux and Saw Gerrera, if I'm saying his last name right, and his sister. Now, that's really cool, because Saw Gerrera had first appeared in the Clone Wars, and would later appear in live action, and which is Rogue One, and he would also appear once again in animation, this time in Rogue One, so, So, so these episodes, they teach in preparation for, these troops, for battle and such, and, the thing between Lux and Saw Gerrera's sister, and Ahsoka, and also, I can't remember that much, but, they're pretty good episodes, and it's really, and even Hondo makes an appearance, because like Ahsoka's like, Hondo, what are you doing? Because first of all, Anakin and Obi-Wan they go to see Hondo because yeah, Anakin and Obi-Wan they can handle Hondo pretty well, and he tells them to drop off some rocket launchers, and that's where they come in, and Ahsoka says, Hondo, what are you doing here? And it's like, I brought you a gift. Rocket launchers, very expensive, paid for, very handsome. And, oh my, okay, well, I got to go and such. They're getting out of there, so. And the death of Saw Gerrera's sister, like, that was pretty intense. Like, that was quite of an intense scene. Like, Ahsoka using the Force to lift up, first lifts up Ahsoka, but then uses the Force to lift up Saw Gerrera's sister. I can't really remember her name, but reaches out, they're about to touch hands and such, and then one of the droid ships or whatever, like, is still active and fires Ahsoka's back and dropping Saw's sister, and yeah, it's quite a pretty intensive scene, and she falls to her death. So but yeah, those episodes are pretty good, and now comes the episodes with the younglings, which the Gathering, etc. And with David Tennant voicing a droid. So with those episodes, they're pretty good because with the younglings, like there's one of a Wookiee, there's one of Greedo, of the species of Greedo, and the species of what's her face, that got killed in the first episode of season 5, Ada Gila. I'm having trouble pronouncing the name, but yeah. So the first episode, The Gathering, and what's interesting is like in the intro, because with the narration and everything else, we get a glimpse of Plo Koon finding a young Ahsoka, which that was interesting. I remember seeing fan art of that even before that episode came out and such, way before that episode came out, you know what I'm saying? Just like, I'm sure some of you have seen some fan art and such, and now we kind of see that in the intro for that episode, The Gathering. And so Ahsoka accompanies a group of Jedi younglings. They go to the snowy planet and such, and meet up with Yoda. Each one goes in. They have to find their crystals for their lightsabers, the weapon of their lives. This weapon is your life, as Obi-Wan said. And then the next episode, they're all on the ship and such, and the droid builder, building Jedi weapons, everything else, voiced by David Tennant, a.k.a. the 10th Doctor. It's really cool. He's in something of Star Wars, like he voices a droid and such, But yeah, he had built weapons and known Jedi for many years, and then later on, like Hondo and his pirates, because they're pirates, they swarm in and invade the ship and such, and Ahsoka eventually gets captured by them, I remember like at the end, like one of them knocks out Ahsoka, and like at the last word of the episode, and Hondo gives good night, and so all the Jedi, including R2, I almost forgot to mention R2, they go off to save Ahsoka and such, and they disguise themselves as a circus. That's quite interesting. We see a circus in Star Wars, much like how there was like a kind of a circus thing like in the Star Wars Holiday Special, because that scene with the hologram and such, and with that I guess you can say, of a circus, so that, and they save Ahsoka, they get out of there, and then the next episode, Grievous comes in, invades Hondo's territory and such, and Ahsoka and the younglings, R2 and the droid, voiced by David Tennant, once again get captured, and they're forced to team up, in an alliance to stop Grievous and such, and it's really cool because at the end of the episode, like the mid-end of the episode, like a big lightsaber duel between Ahsoka and Grievous, which, lightsaber duels are always one of the best parts of Star Wars, even for shows, and for this, like, it's really cool because Ahsoka takes on Grievous with her double-bladed lightsabers, and with Grievous, all four of his bionic arms, with all four lightsabers. And Hondo comes in with the Slave One, because it is supposedly, it is technically what would be Boba Fett's ship, the Slave One, so, that, and, like, Obi-Wan is there, and, like, Hondo's is no hard feelings, I blah, 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 that kind of stuff. And what's really cool is at the end, all the younglings, including Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, they ignite their lightsabers, like, form a circle or whatever, which is really cool. But yeah, those episodes were pretty good with Ahsoka and the Jedi younglings, and with David Tennant appearing, guest starring on the show, voicing a droid. That was really cool. All right, and the next episodes, which are the ones with the droids, and geez, I forget the name of the group of droids, but and the general, that's with them, the little small general, that's with them. They're pretty good episodes, and quite funny because these droids, and even one, the Tatooine droid, the black eye, like the giant circle-ish dome eye, that droid, like, he's the one that speaks, and kind of drives the general a bit nuts, just, annoys him and such. Those two are funny. And they go off, and, like, they board a separatist ship and such, and, like, I think, in the next episode, in episode 2, they get caught in a, asteroid field and such, which, I think I've read this, the asteroid field is very similar to how the asteroid field is from the original Star Tours, and when they land on a deserted planet, which, like, nothing's there and such, but not until the very end, they find, like, a little, found, like, a little town or something like that, and it isn't until, like, the next, and in the third episode, they come across a clone, which he has no idea what he is. I mean, they know, it's obvious, like, they know, and we know, the audience, we know it's a clone such, and it's Gregor, so he was one of those clones, like, once again, I forget the name of those type of clones, and he was just taken in by this jerk, like, the species of Nebnimnum, from that appeared in Return of the Jedi, the Nijmenamamuduta, that creature. This big jerk and, like, the head of a cafe and such, and this guy, and Gregor is, like, is a worker and such, like, taking out garbage or something like that, And, of course, Gregor finds out that he is a clone and such, and, and he ends up helping them escape and taking on battle droids and such, and kind of sacrificing himself. And it isn't until we see him again in Rebels, so yeah, it's crazy that how he survived that explosion. But hey, anything can happen, so always find a way, so But anyways, and then the next episode, all the droids are on board of a separatist ship, but actually later on, I think they're on board a Republic ship, but it turns out that every single, like, clone and officer and such that's on that, they're all holograms. It's all a trap, And later on in the episode, they all escape, and, like, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Tarkin are there as well, and all the droids get out except for R2 because he sacrifices himself, and that explosion that R2 sets off, destroys the Republic ship that the Separatists took, and, they disguised it, like, they tricked them because of the holograms, as I said. I read that, because according to the Facebook page of Clone Wars, it was one of the biggest explosions they ever did. And I think it goes to show, because it's an amazing explosion. It was colorful and, and such, Yeah, and of course R2 R2 is okay. They find him, they put him back together. He's okay. So yeah, so those episodes were pretty good with the droids, and the little general, they're pretty good. And now come the episodes with Maul and Savage, and oh man, these were some pretty good ones. Like, because, okay, let me just say this, because I'm a bit confused on this, because with the Blu-ray of Season 5, like, on there, you know, the episode I talked about that premiered, that was the first episode that came out with season 5, which was the one with Maul and Savage. They form an alliance with members of Hondo's pirate gang. Well, that episode, that's not the first episode to watch on like the first disc of season 5, like on Blu-ray, DVD, whatever. But that's like another disc, with the other episode, with the episodes with Maul and with the Alliance and such. If you guys understand what I'm trying to say, if you know what I'm talking about, that's a bit confusing, don't you think? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Even on Disney Plus, like, that's the Rival. I think that's the name of that, with Maul again, the one with Maul, Savage, and Hondo, the pirates. That's on with that on Disney Plus. That's it says it's the first episode. It's episode 1. It's like, God, make up their minds already. Which is the first episode? Is it the one with Maul and Hondo, or the one that starts with the 4 episodes that has Anakin, Ahsoka, and Lux? Those. Jeez. But anyway, so yeah, so the continuing episodes with Maul and Savage, like, the Death Watch come across them because, like, they're pretty much deserted, in space, adrift in space, and they later form an alliance, and like and they both hate, like, they all hate Obi-Wan, of course, and according to Pre Vizsla, Dooku pretty much ditched them, like, just and remember Maul's like, we can help you, and destroy this Dooku and such, and then later on they try to get the Pikes, no, not the Pikes, the Black Sun to join them, but members of the main leaders of the Black Sun, they refuse, but that's when, like, Savage ignites his lightsaber, and does it like a boomerang and such, and cuts their heads, and that's when other members of the Black Sun, they join them. So yeah, and later on the Pikes join them. So now it's not. So we have Maul, Savage, we have the brother, as Maul says, we are brothers, the true lords of the Sith. So it's Maul, Savage, the Death Watch, the Black Sun, and the Pikes. So yeah. And later at that episode, it's really cool sequence, because they try to get the Hutts to join them, and there's a cool fight between Maul, Savage, and the Death Watch and the Bounty Hunters, and because Dengar is there and Embo's there, and the Bounty Hunter with the horns or whatever, and the one that has like a leaf kind of whip or something like that, what's her face? Yeah, she's there too. And yeah, and it's a pretty cool fight, and they end up killing one of the Hutts, and they telling them because they were to find Jabba or anything like that, and, well, I wouldn't say Jabba, I can't remember how it was put, but they wound up on Tatooine, and they forced Jabba to join them, and they eventually joined them. So and that shot where Savage and Pre Vizsla smile, except for Maul, it just is like, but Maul and Pre Vizsla, they're smiling. So, and then the next episode, like, later on in the next episode, the Death Watch pretty much plan to turn against Maul and Savage, and they do, and then, like, one person, what's his face, who turned out to be a traitor in season 3, joins, I think, yeah, first joins Pre Vizsla, and then later on joins Maul, because there's a cool fight between Pre Vizsla and Maul, and that line that Pre Vizsla gives, "For Mandalore!" and ignites the Darksaber and tries to kill Maul, yeah, but eventually, and it's cool because Maul gets one scar from, I can't remember, I think it's from the Darksaber or just something, but I don't know. We see a scar, like, on his face, which that's really cool. And then, Maul kills Pre Vizsla by, decapitating him, cutting his head, And I read this, that we were supposed to see his head, like, rolling down and such, but I think it's obvious that'd be too graphic, so, Like, if we saw the Black Sun's heads and such, yeah. But not like, I mean, as I said, like in my review of season 4, like Ahsoka decapitates the Death Watch, cutting their heads with her lightsabers. Okay, like I think that's fine. It's just their helmets. We're not like seeing their heads, like their necks being cut off. We're just seeing their helmets, the burning, from the lightsabers. So that's fine. And it's a pretty cool shot. It is. It definitely is. So yeah, so Darth Maul has full control, and half of the Death Watch join Maul's side, while the rest, including Bo Kanta, if I'm saying her last name right, but her first name's Bo, doesn't join Maul. Her and a bunch of other Death Watch don't join Maul, and so later on, like they eventually they freeze Duchess Satine, and Duchess Satine sends out a distress call to Obi-Wan for him to help, and Obi-Wan arrives, and then later on, like, Obi-Wan gets caught and such, arrested, and then later Maul kills Satine right in front of Obi-Wan. First he killed Qui-Gon, and now kills Satine, pretty much the love of his life, because in some ways they both loved each other, so yeah. And even when Satine said to Obi-Wan, "I loved you, I always loved you," that's just, yeah, it's a pretty emotional scene, don't you think? And then later, we see that Palpatine gets his action and gets his own part in the show, fighting and everything else. And so he arrives and he takes on Maul and Savage, and Bo Kantana, or if I'm saying her last name right, she helps Obi-Wan, and like they fight the Death Watch and such, and Obi-Wan escapes, and Obi-Wan looks at her and says, "You're the sister of Satine. And, I'm so sorry." Kind of like how it's kind of like, I guess it's a homage to how what Obi-Wan said to Padme, Anakin is the father, and I'm so sorry, it's pretty much obvious. And at the end of the fight between Maul, Savage, and Palpatine, they lose. Like, Palpatine kills Maul by the back, and Maul just, like, all of his power and such because of the Mother Talzin, and Maul, Savage just says to him, "I'm sorry, brother. I'm an unworthy apprentice to you," And Palpatine, "And you are no longer my apprentice." He's saying this to Maul, and Maul turns and is like, "And you've been replaced," And Palpatine eventually defeats Maul and uses the Force lightning on him, and Maul's just like, "Have mercy, please." And there is no mercy. And do not worry, I'm not going to kill you. I have plans for you, or however he said it, and it ends like that. It just ends like that, and oh man, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm sure I'm sure some people when they watch that, they're like, oh my gosh, they leave it off like that, what's gonna happen next? And then come the last episodes of Season 5, which are the ones with Ahsoka being framed, and the bombing of the Jedi Temple, etc. So, yeah, these are some pretty good episodes, and, because those and the last one, the previous ones with Maul and Savage, with these, like, Anakin and Ahsoka get a call from Yoda to come back to Coruscant, because there's been a bombing, the Jedi was bombed and such, there was a bombing in the Jedi Temple, and, like, they try to find out who it is, and one woman, Letta, is, like, talks about Jakar, like, Jakar was Letta's husband, and, like, later on, like, Anakin and Ahsoka go to Letta's apartment, and there's nano droids and such, and they find out that Letta might be involved in this, and even find out that she set up her own husband to die, which that's insane, and then, like, a droid, I forget what the droid's name is, but helps with Anakin and Ahsoka on this case, and in the second episode, a Jedi who knew too much, the Jedi, yeah, because the first episode, Sabotage, and then the second one, the Jedi who knew too much, and this one, like, we have, Tarkin is in this, Barriss and Letta, and, like, Letta requests only to speak to Ahsoka, and when Ahsoka and Letta are having a conversation, like out of nowhere, like Letta is force choked, and like Ahsoka is not obviously not doing it, but the clones and Tarkin, they assume she's done it, and she's been framed, and so she's put under arrest, and even Anakin knows that she would not do this, and and there's an interesting part because he tries to get in there, to speak to Ahsoka, maybe try to set her free, but Commander Fox won't let it, and has the guards with those things, those electric kind of things, like what the Magna Guards have, and you see the look on Anakin's face, like a bit of the dark side's in him, and just like he's very angry at this, and so later, and we also see that there's like a chip or car or something like that for her to escape, and Ahsoka thinks it's Anakin, like, Anakin, you did it, or whatever, and then when she gets out of there, she comes across some of the clones have been knocked out, and then Commander Fox comes in and thinks, and Ahsoka's been once again set up, thinking it was her, so yeah. And then there's a chase around the prison, and then a big chase out there, with the sewers or whatever of Coruscant, and like at the very end of the episode, like there's a drop and such because where the underworld is, and like Anakin comes in, Ahsoka, what are you doing? You didn't even try to help me. They wouldn't let me in to talk to you. You could have if you tried. It's pretty good dialogue there. With what Anakin and Ahsoka say to each other, and wish me luck, and the music in these episodes are really good, like Kevin Kiner, according to Dave Filoni, he said that Kevin Kiner pretty much brought in an entire orchestra or whatever, just because I think knowing Kevin Kiner, this was very important, these episodes. So yeah, and the next episode, Jedi on the Run, that's what it's titled. Ahsoka is in the underworld, hiding, and then there's like these policemen or whatever, like they're looking for Ahsoka to bring her in. She does get caught and such, spotted, but then she keeps escaping, and then comes across Ventress, who's a bounty hunter, and at first brings her in or something like that, but then they kind of like form a team or something like that, and Anakin and Plo Koon, they come in to find Ahsoka and bring her in, and then like later on, like Ahsoka calls Barriss a few times, and actually, because later, because there's at the mid end of the episode, like there's supposedly it's Ventress, but no, it's Barriss, because Barriss stole some clothes and such, like disguises or whatever from Ventress, and pretended to be Ventress, so fooling Ahsoka. And then later, Ahsoka does get captured and taken in, gets stung by Commander Wolf, and Anakin and Plo Koon are there. They bring her back to the temple. And then the final episode, The Wrong Jedi, it's a pretty good one, because Ahsoka faces trials and such. First faces Jedi trial, and is banished and expelled from the Jedi Order, and then the Galactic Senate, the trial and such of the Galactic Senate, and Padme is there to help Ahsoka, and Anakin goes off to find evidence to find out who the bomber really is and such, and who set up Ahsoka, and of course Ventress gives out some details and such, and it all comes down to Anakin like thinking it could be Barriss, and boom, it's true, because he was right, because Barriss was the one, and stole Ventress's lightsabers, and yet Anakin's like, funny, those belong to Ventress, and Barriss is like, I think they suit me, you should have gotten rid of them, and a big fight between her and Anakin, and the Jedi Temple guards come in with the yellow lightsabers, the double-bladed yellow lightsabers, and with Tarkin and Padme and Ahsoka just talking and such, and, like, my master will come back and such, is finding evidence and such, then where is he, and then Anakin comes, like, right before, like, Palpatine reads the final charges, Anakin comes in and, Chancellor, and I assume you have a reasoning of barging in, and Barriss Offton, member of the Jedi Order, and traitor, and Barriss gives out this speech, because I've come to realize that, because all of us have become villains and such, and Palpatine's like, take her away. And at the very end of the episode, it ends with Anakin and Obi-Wan, Plo Koon, all the other Jedi, Mace Windu, Yoda, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and the other Jedi with the horns. Anakin and Plo Koon feel so apologetical, really say they're sorry, But while the other Jedi, like Ki-Adi-Mundi and Mace Windu, they just flat out say, this was, you have shown us great resilience, and this is the true sign of a Jedi Knight. This was actually your greater trial, or however Mace Windu said it. You have become a greater Jedi than you would have otherwise. And Yoda, all he says is, "Back into the Order, you may come." I'm sure Yoda, because knowing Yoda, he would feel very sorry, and and with him saying, "Back into the Order, you may come," that's all he just says, And with Anakin, they're asking you back, Ahsoka. I'm asking you back. And he has what are those called? They wear and such, But, Ahsoka closes his hand, and you see the look on her face and the way the music's played. I'm sorry, Master, but I'm not coming back. And it's a very sad ending for that episode, because, everything that had gone on with Ahsoka and with what had been going on and such. And, at the very end of the episode with Anakin and Ahsoka, why are you doing this? The council didn't trust me, so how can I trust myself? And what about me? I believed in you. I stood by you. I know you believe in me, Anakin, and I'm grateful for that. But this isn't about you. I can't stay here any longer. Not now, and the Jedi Order is your life. You can't just throw it away like this. Ahsoka, you are making a mistake. Maybe. But I have to sort this out on my own without the council and without you, and I understand. More than you realize, I understand wanting to walk away from the Order. And then the last word that Ahsoka gives in the episode, I know. And it just ends and then she walks away, and, with the camera panning out, because with Anakin just staring at her, as she walks, and then the last shot with her walking down the steps, and boom, she's gone, leaving the temple, And that sunset, and the camera fading, and fading to black, and just it ends with the different music playing, for the credits. Even Dave Filoni said that, that he would, he wishes that he could have, played different music for not every episode, but for some episodes, because it always has the da-na, na-na, that. But for this one, it's very nice and touching music, with the flute and such. Ahsoka's theme, And and Dave Filoni even said, this episode is gonna fade to black. And I guess with the music and such, And hey, Dave did it, He got what he wanted for that episode, what he intended, what he wanted to do for, not, again, as he said, not every episode, but for some episodes, as I said, And yeah, so for season 5, it is a really good season, because everything that goes on in it, and from the beginning and to the end, the first episodes and the last episodes, because everything that goes on, with Darth Maul and the Death Watch, and with Ahsoka being framed, I think those episodes with Darth Maul, Savage, with the Death Watch, and with the ones with Ahsoka being framed, those were probably one of the best ones of season 5, definitely, And you guys let me know what you think, because season 5 was good. It was a really good season, and yeah, everything that was going on in it was really good. And again, you guys let me know what you think of season 5, because for me, I freaking love season 5. It's a really good season, and had some of the best episodes. So anyway, if that said, season 5 of The Clone Wars was really good. Hope you enjoyed this review video. More new review videos coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review video. Take care, and peace out. And may the Force be with you.